Okay, so you can just look forward like we have a huge audience or something like that. You don't have to worry about it.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking at that, or
No, you can kind of just pretend like there's a big audience because you're gonna have camera angles all different directions. You don't have to look at the camera. Okay, let's see. This one. Oh, I gotta take that one off. That don't work. Okay, YouTube people, we'll be with you in 1 second. Live stream's going. Okay. I was figuring out how to do this fucker. Okay, that's going. That's our Rumble feed. So on Facebook, you just go to. Oh no, is this Instagram?
don't try and teach me now.
Oh, I need to do Facebook. Oh no, I need to do Instagram. Facebook on this one. Okay, live video. It always says to turn the shit. Oh, let's turn it around. Okay, turn it around. There we go. This one's always a hard angle to do. Push this back a little more. Wowza! Okay, that's Instagram. Okay, Instagram people, we're gonna go live in a moment. I'm just getting all the cameras ready. This one's gonna be Facebook. No, that's Facebook. This is Instagram. Okay, Instagram. Okay, let's back. You might want to grab your tea and just put it up on this arm brush. Just be careful. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and eventually on Rumble. This is the 29th episode of Live from Normal Heights, and I have a great person here, Hues. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of different setups with healing different things. One thing I really loved many years. What made you get into energy healing?
Out what metaphysics was because I was experiencing it, and from there, the healing thing just has come naturally as I've matured. So it's more about the energy instead of trying to tell someone something. So the energy basically does the work, and you don't have to explain it.
So how I feel doing energy healing for a long time, it's you can say it's the energy or it's the consciousness.
What I love doing. Basically, our fields connect, our electromagnetic fields connect. That's really what I invite people into, is to go deep and open and bring up their light. And then we find out what's going on. The light, as the light, if you turn on their light inside of them, and I do it generically often with just a memory trick, a memory game. Just memorize your most wonderful moment, and then really, I sit there and coach them into the state of it, and then bring them up to their highest state, and yes, or something like that, where you're just flowing magically. You can have that anytime you ever want. It's just, can you play that out in your physiology? Can you let your brain chemistry flow to that level by actually like dreaming it up and dramatizing it like you're acting it out? So like a good actor, you can really bring upon the dramatic emotional states, and it's in the emotions that our true power comes from. That's what clears the tissues that are holding all the stuck data, all the consciousness. We're just trying to process everything so linearly these days, and our body is storing all this data, and that's why yoga or anything else helps. Just stuck. If and boo, so boo, the character jumps, right? Well, what happens in that? your physiology goes, ah, right? Well, now it's processed trauma. Is it going to go back and take care of that gap? Or is it going to walk even faster away from it? Well, we can go back into it because our conscious being take care of those issues of the trauma. So when you jump, when the character jumps, and there's a gap, and what happened there? What happened there? You realize that this process, all this linear thinking, just goes forward. It just moves forward, and it has a natural set pattern and more wise, and not have to take that option. So we can actually go back and work with ourselves. And so all my stuff is somewhere along that lines. It's getting back to your true core self, dropping into where we're energy and our field. And basically at that point, prove to you proof that this is a real deal. Caveat to go to my guarantee. If I'm working with somebody, I want to have massive in your yes, you're getting that. Yes, you're picking that up. And from there, what is that? Well, that's up to you to figure out, right? You can figure out what is going on if somebody can do that. Well, we're all doing that all the time. I'm just good enough at sensing this non-verbal communication. I'm a deep feeler, and I can feel this, and I connect in deeper than most people with the processes that I do, which are all my self-developed processes. Learn from everything else, though. I mean, nothing's new. I just try and cut through all the junk to get there as quick as possible. Is that deal with anything?
Yeah. And it says way back from the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, I was listening to all the Anthony Robbins and a few other, back before the internet, they had all the tapes, cassette tapes, you put them in your car. I just remembered my water's boiling. So tell us what NLP is for something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, I want to say normal NLP people are breaking down. It's a really cool science to studying how the mind processes everything visually, auditorily, and kinesthetic. And how I got into it actually is because I was in metaphysics first. I was in spirit. I'm an ordained spiritualist minister, but I kind of walked away from that because mediumship would happen to me, but it wasn't always accurate. It wasn't accurate enough. It was accurate for when I oscillated up, and I'd go for a couple of weeks where I couldn't say anything wrong.
And I wasn't prepared. I'm like, whoa, what happened? I just started talking about their dead relatives and stuff. I was like, whoa, that's not even what I wanted to do. It just came out, and it would start coming out like that.
So it still happens with me occasionally, but it's not what's important to me. There's enough mediums out there.
Yeah.
Where I'm going for.
You want to be an extra large?
Well, no,
not just a medium.
Yeah. Got me right there. Well, I'm a double X, right? I'm a triple X, right? Look at this. But NLP, it's a science for understanding how language works in the mind, the patterns of it. And then from there, it branches out into how you can use that. Most of the time in this world, it's such a powerful tool that it's used in the darker ways. Not even in
like for sales, because that's when I was in sales.
Yes. Well, you find out as you're doing that. Hopefully, you find out that as you're playing with all of that, but there's a huge spiritual component to it. When you play with this in the spiritual domain, this just becomes a better tool to really understand what's going on inside your head. For instance, visual, auditory, kinesthetic mapped onto clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. Clairaudient being the auditory.
Yeah.
And that's really what got me into it, because I'd already had all these experiences that I couldn't deny in mediumship. And that was my whole thing. I went into that just from being a normal guy drinking beer, chasing that whole thing. And I didn't necessarily want to be anything like going down the metaphysical route, but I had enough experiences that it kept opening me more and more and more. And I'm not, those experiences were and that's without, taking substances or anything. I haven't taken substance. I have taken, that's kicking the door wide open when you take the substances. But it's the knack as you go into yourself and you get more balanced and more mature. That's what I really found out is through the NLP grew me up. The metaphysics just showed me that these tools were wild, crazy tools, and you can get lost in the adventure of that. I really wanted to get out of this world anyways and have cups of coffee and talk to people and do it that way. But how it came down was NLP came in after I was, did my spiritualist stuff and walked away from it. And the awakened NLP teachers that I had, which are kind of hard to find, but they're kind of like the guy from Kill Bill, the master. I would go there and have conscious awakenings and then have to work through all of my crap the whole entire time. And they were sitting there orchestrating all of it, orchestrating everybody getting their own crap. And it was just unreal over his land and little ordering all the people in his to have huge breakthroughs. This is so that's where I leaned in hard and studied with Jerry Stockton.
Jerry Stockton.
Yeah, I don't necessarily recommend his stuff unless you're going to go deep and really face your stuff. Because it's hard work. What is it? What is it to be here? What is it to relate to other people? Never.
Yeah.
My father was a born-again Christian. My stepfather, who did more raising than me, was just kind of wild, fun, almost brother to me. That's my older brother. Thank God for him because the evangelical nature of my father, he was crazy as an evangelical. And he also glowed. That he would come out of it and he would be.
Well, I'm not. I thought you were in it.
So he basically was. He
was really into it, huh?
Yeah, he was into it, and he was connecting to Creator. Creator doesn't care. As long as you connect to Creator sincerely, you can, it'll unfold whatever whacked out path you're going to walk down for yourself. You're just every individual is just walking up and touching everything they can and making up their own person having the same religious experience. The evangelical movements are just kind of hypnotically preaching mumbo jumbo for the most part. Auditory hooks that keep you away from faith as a bypass, with auditory delivery that just, it's in the word, so therefore we're all right. Creator also, I pray to the same Creator that all our ancestors prayed to, right? And that's how I cut out when you pray directly to that, and it doesn't care. It's like the honey badger. It don't care. You put all this other junk in there and spit out a crazy religion to make other people follow you if you wanted, or create cults, and that's what a lot of the evangelicals are to me. But they basically turn crazy people to follow. They're not, what's good for them. Well, you could. The Native American people figured it out a long time ago. They prayed to the Great White Spirit, right? They prayed to Grandfather. That's pretty much generically saying Creator. They know that if they don't pray for, after they kill something, if they don't give it reverence, honor it in their own language, they're dare to kill tomorrow.
Mhm.
If you honor it and the world works with us, the consciousness is you maturely, respectfully go after that your own path with integrity, the more your own path opens to you. So then you teach that to other people, and you have to give them the outline of it because they're not ready for it. They need to hear it before. So when it is their time to experience it, they have a reference story of how each of those awakening people, which all the prophets in the Bible were awake as hell. They had their own experience. Jacob's ladder, Ezekiel's wheel, the dove coming down. The ones that I'm talking about that they don't reference in modern day Old Testament. So that stuff still is possible to happen today. The fields alter and you go into a higher vibration. And so that stuff happened to me along the way. It goes that deep. I don't like to necessarily go this deep into religion. I like to bring it back just to practicality.
Mhm.
Just that's what. As far as, I know that my experiences. I know that I experienced some stuff that people pay millions of dollars to experience. I have the ability to be fully awake. I don't want to get on some evangelical Christ complex. I'm going to try and save you. But if somebody works with me, I'm just going to wake them up to whatever natural level they're ready for next.
Yeah.
And then I love going as deep as I possibly can into the practice, regular life as it was in any of those old texts.
Yeah.
You can walk into your own odyssey, like my teachers taught me as I was going to those courses. I was having my own odyssey, and the universe was playing out like a symphony, an orchestra, right to me as I was embracing my stuff. Well,
Just
yeah. So on that underscore priest, NEO, deep sessions that I go in and I prove telepathy. And it's funny because from my own experience, I'm like the real deal. The real deal. I don't want to. I can do tarot cards. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Right?
People say, "Let me do your tarot."
Yeah, I mean, it flows right through me. It's easy, and that's what people want. You go and get out of the experience, but out of the fair or something like that. But I want the people that want to know about the consciousness path. Like one person help them craft their own path as they walk into this odyssey and have metaphysical revelations. But they'll be metaphysical, but they'll also be practical in this life as well. So that's where the magic is, as far as I'm concerned.
You live in La Mesa now? Or?
I live actually in Rentville is.
Where the hell is that? I've seen it.
That's right over. There's a trolley station. It's right across the way.
Almost like by the stadium?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I forget the other name for it. Yeah.
Maybe just Mission Valley.
East Mission Valley.
East Mission Valley, okay.
Right before you go up.
Have you visited other parts of the world? Have you gone and...
Yeah, I mean, I've not that many other parts of the world. I mean, I've lived in Hawaii for a couple of years recently.
Have you San Diego back when I lived here in the 90s? But then when I come back after being in Japan for 13 years, I really like the energy of San Diego compared to my old. It's a different energy than San Diego, so I kind of really like this energy here.
Yeah, be that free. Everybody's so colorful, and you have to deal with a little bit of the past all that. It's such a magical world. And I don't know, and even chasing
Seminars, workshops where people.
I just rely on one-on-one work, whereas
Maybe I can bring you one of my issues and we can kind of work on it a little bit, or.
it's up to you.
Okay. So I just feel like ever since the pandemic started, I went on sabbatical because I had a lot of clients. Ever since I came back from Japan, my clients, it started going down because I didn't do as many radio shows because I had my own healings. People call from all around the world. And most of my clients I never saw in person. When I came to California, actually most of my clients I got to the point where I didn't even want to talk to them. I would just do a recorded session and I would send it to them because I just said, that's the way I worked better because I can really tap into them and I can work on them and I just record the session and send it to them. That's how a lot of my want to have one-on-one with me. I said I'm going on sabbatical the other day. And I'm like, I can't do that. I do like once a week or would freak out like, oh my God, it's
conscious coaching. And you can get into these relationships where what is the reciprocity? Where is the real, how much value are you getting out of me? And who's getting more? And that really needs to be a conscious conversation the whole entire time you're ever working.
Yeah.
For me, how I like to work is I would like to signal any auditory messages as you want. And then I will pick up what you're saying, and then I'll get back to you if it's not a phone call. But I can't take phone calls all the time.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy.
But I don't mind helping people with their crises of experiencing their own resistance or their own pattern that they're up against.
So what I did is when the pandemic started, I decided I was going to just go out and Quantum Touch 2.0, which is a long distance quantum touch, where you're doing this breathing exercise and then you're sending out a white light with your third eye. And they don't have to be here. They can be anywhere in the world, and you just focus on where and you focus on that. But I started doing that while playing my saxophone, more than they ever had before. So I'd like cause a big commotion. And some people didn't like that, and some people did like that. But I found I can direct that energy and pick up whatever's issues they're having, and I would just do anymore because I was making enough money and now give it away all for free. And I think I'm going to eventually go back to start charging them clients again. I don't know what I'm getting at.
So here's
maybe where am I going in my life?
There you go.
I got tired of doing it.
So here's one of my models.
Uh-huh.
If you explore your own spirituality, NLP taught me to model everything out. So often, as I'm experiencing whatever I'm up against, I'm making a metaphor and a model to get through it. If I find a way to process something and I can map it out, well, a map to experience multiple different levels of enlightenment linguistically. So on paper, I can show you, so you can have this map, and you can, as long as you emotionally know what that means and know what that means, you can sit here and get to an experience of enlightenment through language and have epiphanies. It'll be enlightenment, no doubt. And then we talk about what those energies mean. I'm saying all this because what you're saying, you need conscious conversations with all of your clients. There always has to, I said that earlier, but there always has to be, this is a container relationship.
Yeah.
Inside that container is now we need to have conscious conversations. So what that means is if I invite you into a conscious conversation, you can ask somebody, will you have a conscious conversation? They have to show up with all of their conscious integrity in that moment. Now, they can say no or not right now. they do say longer, they're stepping outside of that container. They're more of a self. They're no longer trying to play a we, right? In the conscious, they're no longer in the conscious relationship. They're stepping out, and the person, I get people into. Some people are trying to hide their stuff or not be perceived that have these conscious relationships, not where they can hide and divert or even be with somebody who consciously diverts. I want everything out and on the table and people that are true and clean and clear. Well, that's what we're all shooting for. And basically your consciousness is going to go through the roof when you start showing up integrately, if that's a word, to every single conversation, that is possible. That we might be over communicating. People might yell at that point. They're like, no, that's too much for me. But those people, once again, often are hiding something. So that's where, if I'm coaching somebody in their own relationship to have a conscious them into why. I'm not going to tell them to get rid of that person, but they might come to that. They might come to, it might be a family member that you can't get rid of. To me, that means have less conscious attention for them. Don't take on their crap. They're not showing up in integrity. If it is somebody that, like a partner that you're trying to live with in life, really measure it out. Measure it out and go, man, do I really want this? Do I really need this? Find out if you're living up to this caliber of showing up to your people in your life. It goes both ways. So that's what I'm offering to you is your relationships to whoever you want to work with. You have a reciprocity inside yourself that you say.
It was just they wanted me just too much, and I told them I can't work with them that much. And that drove me to just go on.
So
quit all my clients because
let's explore communication to where you can come to them in a conscious conversation in a balanced way instead of running, and see how many of them will show up to taking less or paying more.
Yeah, that's what I kept doing, just in shorter times.
Yes.
And this person would, I wish I get rid of the person by charging more.
Well, here's the thing.
Get paid.
Here's the thing. Yeah, so then you need to have another kind of conscious conversation.
It's like I've done enough work on him. That's what I said. I've done enough. And actually, I'm like, that's what he didn't want to have anything to do with his mom. And I kept saying, you need to talk to your mom. I kept saying that. And he's like, no, I fucking hate my mom. I don't want anything to do with her. I want to get out of my life. And then finally, I just I can't have I'm being your mom now.
Yep. And you need to have these breaks.
And I got away. Yeah. And it took 2 years and he seems like, he's doing a lot better now.
Knowing that you need these breaks is huge.
Yeah.
So you took a break too.
Mm.
The break probably was too long. You also are your communication about it was maybe that you also didn't want that long of a break from the whole thing. The fear scared you away from reopening to it. You're leaning back in now. You want more. You want more of this. So you just need to have pure communication, conscious communication, talking about everything. Don't be afraid to talk about anything that, any of that coming up. All my clients are basically friends of mine. I mean, they come and people say you shouldn't do that, but this is too intimate and close of the work. And we just have to have conscious communication around all of it. And we have to admit when they're coming to me as a resource for that. So there'll be times where I am leading them to their awakened next studies or just friends. You need to go have some more experiences. Take what you've learned here and go have some experiences and come back.
So let's go off on another thing. You no longer you just no longer bring your egg to the beach, but do you still have your egg? Did you create that, or is that what your?
So I wrote a book, and that's one of my conscious processes that I do when I do the session inside my egg, or my. It's basically the metaphor of time machine. Some of my students have called my process a time machine because it heals the past and creates the most optimal future. When you emotionally process everything, you get rid of the gunk that's in your way. That is bringing the future more clearly to you faster. And when you're getting rid of the trauma from the past, the little guy, you're getting rid of all that, right? So now you can walk along without any problem. And it's no longer haunting you. So that's clearing the past. Now that was the law of propulsion. That's what I do inside all of my different time machines. I have multiple different artistic time machines that are just because they have to come to people. I'm trusting the universe all the time to bring me the right people, and that's basically who I want to work with. The people who are leaning in and
that are ready to move forward. And sometimes you can be a catalyst.
And sometimes, because I'm not doing tarot, and that's the most easy offer that brings in everybody.
Yeah.
I have to be colorful. And I go off and say, you go, oh, this guy's got it. So that's what the egg is. I still have them and other time machines.
Okay.
So I do multiple different time machines. Burning that. I have a couple other egg chairs. I have a clear egg chair that has angel wings on the back. I have a couple of bikes that are like kind of Burning Man bikes.
Okay.
The one has like a laser dish on the top. And they're just playful little artistic things to make you go, what the heck is this guy?
Just intense energy.
Well, we did a little bit of work there. And people processed a lot of stuff inside those eggs. I've had people drop their worst traumas their whole entire life. I've had multiple people say, I don't want to get a psychotherapist for their whole life.
Years old in Tokyo, and I had never met him, but he would send me this list of all the things he wanted to work on, and I would work on them, and I'd send him the audio, and we did this for a few months. And I go, so how's everything going? He goes, I went back online, and he did blogs, all kinds of blogs.
Hate, right?
Everywhere.
Let the hate come. Let them live with their hate.
The only time it sucks is when it's like it's like Instagram and Facebook, and they just delete all your accounts and don't tell you why. That's what happened to me at about episode 26 of this show. They just took off. So I haven't done many shows since then, just because I've kind of been like starting all over, because I had 0 people. I'm starting on a new Instagram, new Facebook, and that's where I had tons of followers. So it's kind of.
Was it guidelines? You did something outside?
They didn't say. They just said you violated a policy. We won't tell you what it is. And I didn't have any time to review nothing. They didn't tell me what it was. Deleted all my accounts. And that's where I had as many followers as you can have on Facebook, and that's where I'd go live, and like I'd have people commenting. And now no one's, because I don't want them to take my accounts off again, So I'm using an elongated name on my name on that site.
Yeah,
that's the only time it sucks. But maybe it was because during the whole, I started this talk show in my living room right when the pandemic started, and that's because I couldn't normally this altar. We had like 20 people come over and chant regularly and have Buddhist meetings, and then they said we can't have those anymore. I'm like, I would go crazy without people coming to my house regularly. So I started having these shows, and no one wore masks, because I would meet the people performing on the beach, doing this, every imaginable I've had on the show. Healers, I've had a couple other healers. But that's probably what got us kicked off, because we never wore masks. We never social.
I was involved in multiple communities of radical, let's not mask. During the pandemic, I know well, that was my favorite thing at that point. It's just
Which wave? The same one Joe Rogan got it, and most of my friends.
like when we were first reporting the first one,
Oh, okay, you
I
already.
already had it, and it was already done.
Did
So,
you know the symptoms are almost identical? Wuhan lab, where they believe it was either purposely released or.
this might be
Exit?
why you get kicked off. Take that back, so you don't get kicked off. You're not.
I don't think I'll get kicked off anymore for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you can't. They're saying you can't spread. I mean, I didn't.
I believe
buy the
in free
medical-
speech, and
I didn't buy the
I don't-
medical narrative either.
Yeah,
But it is true that people do get sick from it, and
yeah,
that some people lost a lot of, you know.
yeah. A lot of people died.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're giving us the real truth.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. And it was meant to control us and scare us.
Circle, and I remember right when the worst part of the shutdown, I was at one of the beaches, and the girl goes, "You want to suck my lollipop?" And I sucked her lollipop, and she came back to me like, it felt so cool because everyone was social distancing, right? We were like, fuck all those things. I got it after just 6 or 7 days of parties, whatever.
This is how aggressive I was.
Uh-huh.
I was in a community, a cuddle party community.
Oh, okay.
So we were aggressive, and we were having cuddle parties of 30 or more people. Epidemic, but we were doing just cuddle party in itself. Because if you have edge to go and do that, you really liberate your tissues, and you just find out the agenda.
Yeah. We need to be. We're coexistent beings. We need to be in communion with everything, and that I think a lot of people probably even talk to terrible things that happen, but we won't get all into that. What's some of your dreams for the future? What do you hope to accomplish in the near future? Do you have any plans like you?
I do put on a mystery school before.
Uh-huh.
It really has you see yourself. They force you to wake up, and they all together too. They're all related, and so that's one of the things in the future. I guarantee I'll be able to put out. I don't have one scheduled now, but in the future, this is what I'm here for. And I have a really bizarre, unique set of tools to play with other metaphors that basically prove to you that there's something going on underneath the words. Would you like to play one?
Yeah, let's do one.
I'm not going to do a control drama right now, but I want to do another one.
Okay.
Which is a blah, blah, blah experiment.
Okay.
Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to sincerely give me everything that you got in blah, blah, blah. Tell you what I'm going to do back so you're ready for it.
Okay.
Then I'm going to give you back the answer, accept it, and just your frequency, but it's all blah. I don't have the words.
Yeah.
Right? Then I'm going to respond to you after I process it. I'm going to respond back in blahs, blah, 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 blah. So let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, let's do it. Blah 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 blah. Okay.
So I want to show you what I read right there, just so you know. You didn't get to sincerity until the last block.
Okay.
All the rest of it was canned preparation. The last block, right? So I'm throwing out all the first blocks because that was you're a good dramatic actor.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the last part that had some of the sincerity in it. And blah, 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 blah. And so now, did you experience?
Like you in a lot of ways. I did, yeah.
So what this shows you, and hopefully the people out there watching, shows you that there's communication that's happening on an energy level. It also happens on a language level, but we're cutting out the auditory stuff the language. And so the kinesthetic happened, right? And I was showing you the true kinesthetic of where you brought your truth of it at the end, the very end. And I could even ask you to open up that little thing and get more sincere. Like if you could tell that mine was the whole time I was pretty sincere. So I brought up the serious side, and then I brought up the taking care of side, experiential level. That is what's happening. But I have to also now take that back and shut up and let you get it out. And yeah, people might call, the more you play with this, the more you find out there's light is a frequency, sound is a frequency. They can fill your field. Mode. So that's what we're bringing. And then if we did a control drama is basically where I manipulate you with, and this is happening all over the place in our communications in this society. You can't get away from it. But to wake up to them gives you so much more influence of what's really going on underneath. And that is like if I said, if we had a relationship and in our relationship, the trash basically hasn't been taken out in a while, and we're not awake to this, then I might use an intimidator or a victim. And these are the polar extremes of the control rooms. There's other ones. But it might be intimidator or victim. And the intimidator looks like this. So it's the words in this cleanly is can you take out the trash. And a lawyer in this, a lawyer trying to argue for this would say, that's all my client is saying, can you take out the trash? But really, what really happened, so that's what the judge heard. But in the experience of it, I slipped in intimidator, which is take out the trash. Can you feel the energy on that? What's happening more? Are you being more influenced by the energy? Less than that. The words are very actually, they're more traumatized by the intimidator, by the energy. And then victim is take out the trash. You know, I'm dramatizing that. But this is what happens. Have a conscious relation. Control drama. And they do it to me too. And every single time you go, oh shit. I did not. And I'm consciously aware of it, and so are they. You're not going to be able to do this with your discernment. It's not judgment. All this, like, stop judging people. No, you're being more awake, and you're just perceiving everything.
Yeah, to me, judgment makes you feel heavy, and awareness makes you feel light. So if you're saying something that feels light and expansive, it's not a judgment.
Well, the judgment is actually how much the person is taking it on themselves.
Uh-huh.
So you can say something, and they can be taking it on more than you said it.
Okay.
Now, it depends on the tone of your voice, how much they take on. They perceive as judgment.
Yeah.
But to be fair, this in a clean, you don't need to take on, and they'll suck you dry, and most of them probably don't ever want to hear the word control drama. They'll dismiss you or dismiss the whole conversation. That once again is somebody going out and dropping out of the we in a conscious relationship, disappearing into the self.
I have someone I'm going to use that on. Because they're always in control.
Yeah.
And they are a psychic vampire.
Yeah. And you probably love them, right? That you love.
I've been very fortunate. The people that are in my life are very non, except my stepdad, and really conducive with me. It's just people come into my life and they just want to, like, they insist on being my friend. And I'm like, I don't really need a friend right now. You need a friend, okay, but I don't need a friend. It's like I feel they know I'm an energy healer and they want a free session, you know? I'm like, you have enough stuff to work on, go work on it. I don't want to.
Well, that's being such a free spirit that you are and being so out there.
Okay, we're gonna call it a quit soon because they're going to shut off at exactly an hour. If we haven't gone an hour yet, how long have we gone? Oh, we've gone a little less than an hour. Have you heard of ecstatic dance? That's where I'm going after this.
Very cool. Yeah.
Oh, you have? You've been? Have you been?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to the one in Point Loma tonight.
Very cool.
Whoops. Zippity doo dah.
Remind me later. Yeah.
On the way.
Neo
Oh, no,
_ priest on Instagram.
Okay, Neo's _ priest. You come to the drum circle, see me play the saxophone. I'll introduce you to him. Sometimes he has a lot of stuff built up. Sometimes
Yeah,
he's just
right
there by
now
himself.
I'm doing sound baths.
Sound baths. Okay.
I'm doing like little fast, little 5 to 10 minute little sound baths and metal bowls. And I'm a geek about getting the energy into the body. So I have you sit in a gigantic bowl while I ring that. And then I put one over your head, a gigantic one that nobody can hold, but I'm such a big guy I can. And I ring that. And now you're between these two gigantic bowls. Energy goes in.
I knew that would end soon.
So
That means we hit an hour.
Okay.
Let me stop this one. Finish. Let me stop this one. See you guys later. Thanks a lot. Okay, we got to end exactly an hour because they cut me off. We'll stop immediately. End. Okay.